Welcome to the Unseen Thread. My name is Jen, and I'll be bringing a collective message today. And when I was meditating on what message we're going to be bringing, I was getting and imagining how in the wild, things that are poisonous or that can cause harm or death often have the cure growing next to it. And that reminded me of a journal entry I did. This was a couple years ago. It says July 22nd, 2023. And it was talking about how our wounds are portals that are open at the close. X amount of healed wounds equals X amount of portals. And it was bringing up the creative consciousness and art therapy and the symbology of the subconscious. Okay. And then how emotions and emoting is creative energy with intention brings upon your manifestation. So it's calling for us to be very conscious of what we're emoting. Conscious manifestations versus your subconscious manifestations. So are we saying in a very negative attitude, all these terrible things happen to me? Or are you literally manifesting negativity or what you perceive to be a negative situation? So conscious, subconscious, and then it's bringing it into the physical. So that's your physical manifestation, okay? And so that's what I was getting. There's something coming up about healing here that Spirit wants to bring forth. So let's dive into it. This deck here is called the Rooted Woman. Then we have Strength and Endurance, Matcha, number 13. And this is a rather new deck to me, so I probably will read out of the guidebook for this. Kind of looks like there's a turtle there. So something probably a little slow moving, and it does say endurance here, so something for the long run, or it's a long haul, or something long coming. But let's read out of the book here. And this is what the deck looks like. It's very cool, so if that interests you. Let's see what we got. Okay. She was a fairy wife, Matcha, and probably the reflection of an old horse goddess who came to a farmer in Ulster, Ireland, and married him, bringing fertility to his fields and health to his crops and herds. So let me see if I can kind of paraphrase this here. Well, he forced her to run against his horses, the farmer did, even though she was pregnant with twins. She did win, but she died at the finish line after giving birth to 2 healthy boys. But before she died, she laid a curse upon the men of Ulster that they would be overcome by the weakness and pain of a woman in childbirth. When their enemies approached them in battle, it would remain for 9 generations. Okay. She's prompting us to remember the strength of women and our capacity for endurance in the face of pain and hardship. But what we need on this heroine's journey of ours isn't just physical strength. We need the inner strength that comes from knowing that our life is important and valuable, and that we possess the determination to carry on along our journey even when times get tough. Inner strength allows us to face difficult decisions without flinching, to take responsibility for ourselves and our own actions, and to understand that we're the authors and narrators of our own story. So that goes very well with what I was saying there about what is the story we're telling ourselves, how are we emoting the physical experiences, and let's get some advice on that. We have the Page of Pentacles. We have the Knight of Swords. We also have that fast-moving energy here, the Endurance, and the Page of Wands. And the Page of Wands is a very much a Joan of Arc energy, who is also, she was disguised herself as a man in battle. If you're not familiar with Joan of Arc, I would read up even on Wikipedia about her story. It's very interesting. Okay, Page of Pentacles. So with the Page of Pentacles, the Knight of Swords, and the Page of Wands, this is a very grounded energy, very followed by intuition, or if it's not intuition, It's just knowing the direction. And that, like with the Page of Wands here, it is a creative energy, but it's also like for the Joan of Arc, she followed her intuition. She saw what needed to be done. Nobody else could see it. She knew. She followed the path that she was intuitively guided to follow. Now, what does this have to do with healing? Following a gut instinct. Maybe it's something after meditating. We have the Eight of Wands. This is the messenger. It's like both the Page of Pentacles and the Eight of Wands. It's a very relaxed energy. You are the messenger, I'm hearing. You are the messenger. And then we have that Knight of Swords literally on top of the Knight of Swords. That's crazy. And actually, I do already have it open to that. So yeah, this is a very, you can see they're riding the owl here. So this is a wisdom and a higher perspective. It is a hurried energy. So it's like quick messages coming through. And then you have the King of Swords. He speaks the truth, and he doesn't quite care about feelings, to be honest. This could be somebody very abrasive. It's like, I kind of feel an insulting energy. It's almost like you're taking insults from somebody who also protects you. Could be a father energy. And then we have the Eight of Cups. It's hard to keep respect for somebody who acts like they're your superior, whether they are or they are not. When I'm getting just a very belittling energy. Somebody wishing they can get out of the situation. Feeling like you have ties to somewhere you don't want to be. You can pick your friends, but you can't pick your family. I'm hearing that. Maybe you live life by like your intuition, or a lot of what you do doesn't make sense, and somebody seems to have a real problem with that, or they don't understand it. It's like where somebody is intuitive and doesn't ask for guidance on anything, very much moves by the beat of their own drum. That's what I'm hearing there. And then you have that energy versus this one, which is like very quick judgment, a very critical person. And it reminds me of this matcha card, how it was kind of like that you're gonna run and you're not gonna stop. She did it, but she didn't want to do it, and it did cost her her life. So I'm not seeing this as something that's going to cost anybody their life, but I think it's very important to remember that this is your life and that you have to live it for yourself and not live it for others. whether that's a father, a partner. It's like, why can't you trust me that I know the way? The Death card. I was seeing this actually driving home from work. I was picturing this card. This could be somebody passed on. Spirit, can we get some more on that, please? I'm going to get 2 cards. We just got the Death card again, I kid you not. This just confirms from Spirit that this is a passed over loved one. We have the 10 of Cups, parent figure. And the Star. This is a healing energy. So somebody is coming through. If you have a parent that's passed on, or if you had some kind of guardian. I know not everybody had the blessing of being raised by their parents, but this could even be a grandparent energy. Definitely have the blood here pouring. Could speak on bloodlines as well, ancestors. So this also going back to healing wounds. And there is a lot of talk, and I can't say I know, or, you know, I can not confirm nor deny about breaking cycles, ancestral cycles. But this is speaking to me on that. So if you can resonate with that, I'd like to go on and see what messages are coming through for you on that. You have 2 deaths. And you have a family tie. And then the Star comes through here as if somebody wants to try to heal something with you. Let's get 2 on that. And you have the 2 of Swords and the 2 of Wands. So you have 2 here. I couldn't see then what I can see now. I was blindfolded, and now it's like you can see her. I'm getting the chills, so Spirit's connecting with me. Hindsight is 20/20. I couldn't see then what I can see now. And this speaks about how in the earthly realm, how we have such human ties. It's like you can't, your perceptions are limited here. And then we have the Tower and the 2 of Discs. And the 2 of Discs for me is being half on water, half on land, half in the heavenly, half on the earthly realm. And the Tower is something happening in which you perceive it being to your detriment. But when the Tower happens, it's causing movement in your life. It's getting rid of stagnation. You have no choice but to do this. It's like somebody passed away and it turned your whole world upside down. And because of that happening, it was like the butterfly effect. There were things you didn't want to do, you had to do. There were things that maybe you've always wanted to do that you couldn't do until this happened. I'm going to get one more on that Tower, please. We have the Temperance card, which is the Earth Angel. also a balancing of energies. It's also a remedy to a situation. Somebody wants to rectify. Spirit, can you show me the situation? And for this, I'd like to. 6 of Wands. And the Strength card. These are both cards of overcoming something. And the 6 of Wands I'm going to read out. And we also have the Moon on the bottom. And we are coming up on the full moon. But this is things that's not always obvious by looking at. It's something hidden. And I'm being guided to show you this too, the 3 of Wands. The 3 of Wands is the expected outcome of something. So let's read out of that 6 of Wands here. And this does have the symbol of the Archangel Michael. I always like to show that there. So let's get into it here. And I think we did read this one in a previous reading. And this, initially it talks about the possession of knowledge unless accompanied by a manifestation and expression in action is like the hoarding of precious metals. Knowledge, like wealth, is intended for use. Okay, so maybe you're a reader too. Let's just use this for an example, okay? Perhaps there's truths you wanted to share or an expression of yourself that you wanted to share. And this person, or energy rather, thought that they were doing you good by keeping you in line, or maybe they didn't want you looking like an odd duck, I'm hearing. They wanted you to fit into society. It's easier to fit into conform. And they're showing regret for that. Okay. And let's see here. This also means battling your demons, fighting with dragons, enemies, and obstacles, but you face your fears and fight darkness with light. And that does show here, this lion. So whoever this is coming through has a completely different perspective now. And I'm not saying that they wish they would have listened to you. I'm not getting that, because I think their part in your life was very intentional. I'm getting the chills. They had to play that part because you would not be who you are today if they had not. And I'm getting drawn to this as well here again. It's like you wouldn't have become the lion if it wasn't for that, you know. They subdued the lion almost, you know. It's like they kind of kept this at bay. I'm also feeling that by way of them protecting you, or kind of keeping you small, that's how I'm perceiving you were feeling by being kept small. It was kind of keeping you hidden until it was your time to shine. I actually have my rising, Leo's in my rising, so. Yeah, so that's very interesting. So they, you know, being feel like you weren't seen, you didn't have maybe your creativity, your ideas acknowledged. And that's coming up as in there is a purpose. So if you have any animosity towards this person about that, I think you're being asked to find forgiveness in it, because there was a purpose behind it. Okay, let's get a couple more on that. We have the King of Swords again, 2 King of Swords, and then we have this 2 of Pentacles again. So this is very interesting. Okay, so we have these 2 King of Swords. And then you have the crows there. So when you go from this, and they are both an air energy, this one seems a little bit softer. I know he's got antlers and all that, but seems a little bit softer. He's with the birds. You have the moon here, and the moon's being kind of revealed. And it, it's kind of saying, I still know what's best for you, but this time my perspective is different. I have a higher perspective. The higher you are, the more you can see. And also, if this person has passed over, and this very well could be somebody who's still very much alive, but if this person has passed over, when you pass over to the other side, you have instant knowledge of all things. We are not bound by our human brain at that point, okay? You can see the purpose. You remember what your mission was here on Earth. And I think this person's acknowledging that they were meant to be this King of Swords in your life, and that they still very much are that. It's kind of like they're coming through and saying, I'm still your parent, but now I can see it from your perspective too. They could see why they were this way in your life and kind of kept you smaller, or kept you, I really feel like it's not like they were trying to keep you smaller. It was more like trying to keep you safe from ridicule and criticism. It's not always easy to have a child who is highly whimsical. You don't want them being made fun of. Okay, let's close out with a message here. I did just want to, before we do that, show the 2 of Pentacles. So this is what they were like in the material realm, and this is them now. They completely have the blinders off. They can see that your purpose for the divine and helping the divine, being spiritually led. And you can see that sunflower has the eye in the middle of it there. That it is for the greater good what you're doing, and they want you to know that. And I was in my journaling the other day, it said, face the sun, face the truth, be free to be who you are. Okay, and the closing message. We have the Hermit, and the Fool, and the King of Pentacles. The Hermit is the wise sage. Doesn't need to speak so much. He holds worlds of wisdom. And the Fool, along with the dog, follows their natural instinct. They don't ask for permission. And they do not need advice, because they don't know where they're going. They have nothing to ask you. They're just going. And then you have the King of Pentacles here. So this is that Taurus energy. And you can see there the example, and you have 2 people here kind of looking. like what you're doing is setting the example while you're here on earth. This is a very mature energy. It's very much like having all your ducks in a row and handling your business. But this flower coming up here is alluding to knowing the higher purpose. This is an entrepreneur energy too. I very much feel like whatever you're going into or what you're going towards, you're going to be very wise. You're going to have stability. Others will look up to you. And you have a great purpose. And I'm getting the chills. Somebody loves you very much. And they're sorry that whatever had happened between you when they were still here had you feeling like you weren't the absolute greatest of all time. But you are the absolute greatest of all time, they're saying. And please forgive them for the part they had to play in your life. They see things differently now. They know what the purpose was of playing that part. And you may know parts of it, but you don't know it fully, hearing. And to shine bright and be creative and use the gifts that you were given. And face the sun. I hope you find healing in this and that you have a wonderful day.